There we are. We are live. How y'all doing tonight? We get to talk about a win, guys. We get to talk about a win. How we feeling? How we feeling?
Better, right? We took a week hiatus. So we're back all together here doing the show, minus Jeffrey Lee, who's obviously his presence is missed, but we're going to get through this without him. But all the same, you're getting to talk about a win. And yes, it's against an inferior opponent in ULM, but Auburn handled business the way you would think that a Power 4 team should, specifically a team in the SEC. You had two receivers over 100 yards each. Jarquez Hunter got his 100 on the ground, so now he's up over 1,000 for the year. Peyton Thorne had a rebound day where he goes for over 280 plus, 5 touchdowns through the air. And so, I think from an offensive standpoint, you accomplished probably everything that you wanted to accomplish. And not every throw was perfect, but receivers made plays when they needed to make plays in one-on-ones, and the defense continued to get better week over week. It was just another really good game from DJ Durkin and that crew on the other side of the ball. So, all in all, Cole, I think you have to be happy you handled business the way you should, and now you've prepared yourself to go into the Texas A&M game and give yourself a chance to win.
Absolutely. And as you can tell, I am your host tonight, Cole Pinkston. Alan Head brought you in there with his opinion. We got Zach in the front tonight. He's going to have some heavy hitters for us, per usual, when he's with us. Jeffrey's not with us tonight. He won't be with us. So you know what you're getting. You know what you're getting with this crew. But listen, it's about the callers. This is the call-in show. We want your opinion. We want you to bring it in. We want you to talk. Get it all out. We'll try to keep it at somewhat of a timeline. We don't want to get carried away by any means, but bring it in. You control the topics of the show. If you call in, 701-779-9585 is the call-in number. I'm sure we probably got people coming in. Zach, while we have people coming in, I want to get your opinions on the game. Have you gotten a chance to check it out since we talked last?
Yeah, man. I went back this afternoon and went through it a little bit. I'm kind of with Alan. This is what you expect from an SEC school playing a Sunbelt school. You need to dominate the line of scrimmage. I thought they did a good job at that. I thought they put the ball in the hands of their stars, right? We've talked about Cam Coleman needs to get targets. Well, that's what happens when you give him targets. And I also think you kind of threw the fans a little bone at the end, too, by putting in Walker White. And I know you guys are going to talk about that on the football show. It should be coming out tomorrow. I think that was big, just to give Walker some motivation to keep his head down, keep working, but then also show the fans that, and this is no shot at Walker, but this is why he wasn't the starter
right
against New Mexico.
Right.
I think you guys put it the best earlier. You saw the flashes of why he works in the system and why he was Hugh's target, but he's not ready to be the starting quarterback. And I do like what Hugh said, where he was like, we kind of knew what we have with Hank. We know what we have with Holden. We need to find out what we have in Walker, because that changes your approach in the transfer portal maybe a bit. Do we need two quarterbacks? And that's kind of the question I think he may have tried to be answering at the end of the game. But again, Jarquez hitting 1,000 was big. And just to get Cam some confidence, man, and get the fans back kind of bought in, because you guys know, I don't think Auburn had any shot of losing this game. But if that game is closer than expected, I think we all feel very differently about A&M and the feeling around the program. Now that you got a blowout win, which was what you expected, we all feel a little bit better about Auburn's ability to be locked in for A&M, where if that game was closer, I think that Mercer game in, 18, they got real tight there with the turnovers. You think of Jacksonville State. If we had one of those games, I don't think any of us have confidence against A&M. So it's good to have a little bit of positivity around the program right now.
Yeah, Justin and I were talking before as we were up there in the press box before the game, and we were like, man, if for some reason Auburn does not put a good drive together to start this game, and Louisiana-Monroe goes up by a touchdown or a field goal, I think, we just need to carry brown paper bags with eye holes cut out in them. We just didn't want to see the corner if that happened. We didn't want to see. Gosh, I'm so glad that didn't happen. It was huge. It really was. It was huge for Auburn to win the way they did. That it doesn't matter who the opponent is. It's a dominant win when things are not looking good. Okay, we talked about this. For those who don't, we did record a football show today. Didn't do it live today. It'll be out tomorrow morning, so catch that. We'll talk way more in depth about football. Remember this show's recruiting. We do want to talk recruiting. We're up against signing days coming up on December 4th. In case you didn't know that, that's changed. It was I think the 20th.
Correct.
Yeah, it was the 20th. So we've moved it up about 2 weeks. December 4th. We're in it. We are in it, guys. We're in the last days before signing day. And then right after that, we got the transfer portal. So exciting times coming up. You sure would love for Auburn to have some momentum going into that. Man, would you love that?
I think you probably stated it best, Cole, but can you find a way to end on an upward trajectory? It's been a while since Auburn has ended the season, going out feeling like, okay, things didn't go exactly how we planned, but you know what? We feel good about the direction of the program, and being able to get a win against Texas A&M, a ranked opponent, a quality opponent, would be something that Auburn could, that you could sell to your fan base, that you can sell to your donor base, that you can promote to the kids that you're recruiting, and basically state like, okay, we were able to accomplish this year, and this is just the start of what we're going to be able to do if you land in this class. So there are all kinds of things that can happen with getting a ranked win this way that you can spin and move forward as, just kind of a start, more or less. And that's the problem this season is that you've won a game and then you lose 2 or 3 straight. And then you win a game and then you lose 2 or 3 straight. So to be able to string 2 wins together back to back would help you with that consistency that we were just talking about. And like Zach said, yes, that is what you expect with a Power 4 opponent playing against a Sun Belt team, right? An SEC squad versus a Sun Belt team. But to do it against another SEC opponent in your own house, and I'm not saying even be dominant, I'm just saying win. And what kind of momentum that can give you springing forward.
For sure. Zach, do we have any callers yet?
Oh, yeah, we got plenty, man. Let's see. We know where we're starting.
Of course.
We got our guy, Kevin from Wilmer, Alabama. Kevin, you're live.
Oh,
Kevin.
But you,
Yep. Like Kevin said, the fan only blows when you're hot, doesn't it, buddy? So
can y'all not hear him?
No,
no, not at all.
Okay, hang on 1 second, Kevin.
Slight technical issues.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with you.
All right, go ahead, Kevin.
From Wilmer, Alabama.
There he is. Yep.
What's up, Kevin?
How about my boy Cam Coleman?
How about him?
Hat trick. 3 touchdowns. What do you think about that, Kevin?
I love it.
I bet, dude. And
I was thinking about you, man. I know you're fired up about that.
Hey, Alan has.
Yeah, buddy.
What's the status on Nehemiah Alford?
Naheem Alford was in Gainesville this past weekend. I talked to our friend Keith Niebuhr and basically listed out a top 3 of Florida, Ohio State, and Oregon was what he passed to him. Now, there's no one on this panel that actually believes that Auburn's not in contention for him down the stretch. And I think our own Jeffrey Lee is on record is basically stating that he thinks Naheem Alford ends up at Auburn when it's all said and done. I feel the same way. My sourcing there hasn't changed. I know what Keith's report was, and Keith's a fantastic reporter. So take him at his word, right? But I think sometimes kids get caught up in the moment, and sometimes they're not always cognizant of some of the things that they say. But I think Auburn's still heavily in contention for Naheem Alford and like where we sit.
How about Deuce Knight?
Deuce Knight was at the game, Kevin. He was there. He didn't interview, which is usual for him. He's not a big interviewer. But, he was back at Auburn, so that's a big deal. Obviously, wasn't at Ole Miss. So, Ole Miss still recruiting him, but feel pretty good about where Auburn stands and got a couple weeks until he signs.
Who was kicking field goals last night or yesterday?
Ian Vachon, who Justin pointed out to me before the game was one of two in his career at Birmingham Southern in field goals.
And then he was 2 of 2 yesterday, correct?
2 of 2 for Auburn. One of 2 at Division III Birmingham Southern. Keep
How
that
about that?
keep that in mind.
And Jaquez Hunter did good too.
Jarquez Hunter went over 1,000 yards on Saturday. Big time. Did that just sneak up on us? Like, I guess I wasn't really tracking it, but I was like, man, 1,000? Really? He just hit 1,000?
I've been tracking it, and I thought that he might be able to get closer in the Vanderbilt game, but things just didn't unfold the way that anybody had anticipated with the ground game against Vandy. So, no, it was something I was definitely watching.
Who committed to Auburn?
The last commitment that Auburn picked up was Shamar Arnaud for football. They did pick up a basketball commitment as well, Sebastian Williams Adams. That happened today. But yeah, Shamar Arnaud flipped from USC.
Basketball team, they're good.
Hey,
Yeah.
Alan Head's your guy. If you want to talk basketball,
Auburn's legit in basketball this year. If you want something positive to look to, Auburn looks complete right now in basketball, Kevin. That's the sport you got to look out for.
Yes. And on the Jarquez Hunter note, he is officially up to number 6 all time in Auburn on the Auburn list for rushing yards at 3,185, directly behind Ben Tate, who's at number 5, who's got 3,321. So he could easily be in the top 5 all time by the time the season's over with.
wow.
I can't wait when we get Alvin Henderson there.
Oh, Alvin. Alvin was back at the game Saturday. He broke 10,000 for his career. Psh, that's crazy when you really break that down, right? How many yards per game is that? That's wild. But 10,000 yards, he's still getting it in the playoffs. They'll play again, 3rd round. So there you go.
Hey,
Alan.
Yes, sir, buddy.
Are they recruiting any players from Hoover?
To my knowledge, no one in the 2025 class, Kevin. I need to take a peek at 2026 and see if there's anybody that they're kind of looking at.
You got Jonah Winston.
That's right.
Jameis Winston's little brother, receiver. He's fast. He was at Auburn a couple weeks ago. He's on the list. I don't know how high he is on their board, but he's in there.
We appreciate you, Kevin.
We got Derek Smith's twin brother now too.
Yep, Eric.
Both of them were back. They are also still alive in the playoffs. I think I might be going to that game Friday night. They play Bayside at home.
Where
At home in Selma.
Oh, yeah, Bayside's going down Kevin's way.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, Bayside's coming up to Selma. So that'll be interesting. I think I might go see him play.
I'll talk to y'all later, War Eagles.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, buddy.
Appreciate it, man. A lot of good questions there. A lot of good questions.
Kevin.
Oh, yeah.
Jay Lee.
What
Kevin's
a
out
boss,
there
man.
with the horse.
What a boss.
What a stud.
And a horse.
Well put,
Shout
Colin.
out to Kevin, man. We appreciate the pictures, man, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh.
Keep them coming. I love the pictures from Kevin.
I believe this is Anthony. Anthony, you're live, man.
Fellas, Anthony from Montgomery.
Man,
Hey,
where you been? Come
know
on
it.
now. We've been missing you, buddy.
I had to take a break, man. Auburn be stressing me out.
Anthony, brother, I hear you.
I'm talking on Sunday.
So you're feeling better today is what I'm hearing, right?
Yeah, well, y'all know, man, I'm a football guy, so all the recruiting and stuff is cool, and I follow it, man. But when you trash in October, and you've been looking forward to it all spring, all summer,
Yeah.
and by the time October hit your season over, you got to look forward to next September. It kind of ruin your mood.
Yeah.
I hear you, Anthony. I hear you.
You know how it is, man. But I want to talk about, because I'm done with this season. I don't care how we look yesterday. I want to talk about next season. So everybody was mad and said that Freeze should have got a quarterback during the last cycle, which I understand. But also, it's not like he didn't attempt to go get a guy like he had. We all know he had Riley Leonard locked up until they came back to the table and wanted more food. So I got my two-part question is, the first question is, do the money people put a strike against Hugh for not getting a quarterback to replace Thorne, even though they know because of their money that he tried and his attempt? So how do they look at this situation with Thorne and not bringing the quarterback, even though, behind the scenes he actually did try? And my second question is, when we do get a quarterback, do it need to be a one-year guy? Do it need to be a two-year guy that can grow with the young receivers? So then that's all I got.
Okay.
That's a great question, Anthony.
Those are great. Yeah. So regarding the first one, Anthony, I think two things are true there. So number one being, yes, I do think Auburn went after guys like Riley Leonard, probably made a play at Cam Ward. There were some other names that they flipped through. But I also think it's true that Auburn did double down on Peyton Thorne at some point. They looked at their options. Could they have made a bigger play at one of those guys and really, gotten them or stayed in it longer? Probably. I think they really doubled down on Peyton Thorne. I've heard even more of that in recent weeks. Like that was, I think they did that. I think they felt good about it.
They did, and there were other options. I mean, there was the kid that landed at Syracuse that they could have had for next to nothing. I'm trying to think of the quarterback that Mississippi State signed from Baylor. I know that there was some interest there.
Blake Shapen.
Yeah, Blake Shapen. So there were other quality quarterbacks where they have the degree or the pedigree of, or maybe the stature of a Riley Leonard or a Cam Ward. No, but would they have been quarterbacks that would have raised the floor of that room? Absolutely. And at a minimum, it would have provided competition for Peyton Thorne. But they decided they didn't want to do that. And no, to answer Anthony's question, I do feel like Hugh has a lot of booster support still. I think they are very much in lockstep with providing him what he thinks he needs to be successful. And so they're going to make sure that he has enough capital moving forward, or resources, as we like to refer to them as, when we get to the transfer portal season. So Hugh Freeze is going to get 3 to 4 years to prove himself at Auburn. And I think so long as he continues to improve the product. Now, this was obviously a step backwards this year, and you can't afford to have another season like this, right? If Freeze puts, 4 or 5 wins on the board in year 3, he's not going to get that same level of grace. But even if it's just a modest step forward to like 7 wins, if you're 7-5 next year, he's going to get to season 4. I think the boosters are that much behind him in the way that he's building this thing, that so long as there is that momentum going forward and that trajectory where you can turn and look and say, okay, let's keep continuing to do this. Like, you've got hope there, very similar to Billy Napier down in Florida, right? Okay. Right. They're very much on the verge of going 6-6. And I think, it's crazy to say that they've got a shot against Ole Miss. I don't think I'm saying that, but stranger things have happened for somebody to go into Gainesville and lose, right? Particularly teams that have been favored. So they may be on the upswing now, and I think that's what you're looking for if you're Auburn. Obviously, I think the fan base wants to see 8+ victories. That's what they would like to see. But again, I think as far as booster support goes, so long as you're positive momentum forward, you're 7-5 next year and you have a winning season, my guess is he's going to get to year 4 and maintain that booster support. And then what was the second question Anthony had?
Yeah, the second one was it had something to do with the quarterback that they're going to get now. Does he have the support to go? Was that it, Zach?
No, it's like, how many years do you want a 1-year guy? 2?
Oh, yeah. 1-year guy, young guy.
I want the best one I can get. That's kind of where I'm at with it. It doesn't matter if it's 1 or 2. Like, in an ideal world, in my opinion, 2 years would be great, right? So that you could have that consistency from 1 year to the next. But if they're good enough with the weapons that Auburn has on this roster, you're potentially losing them to the NFL anyway. So it's realistically, it's whoever you can get, the best player you can get at that position, and the person that's going to elevate Auburn's at the floor of what we're capable of. Can they take you to that 8-win, as a minimum? That's who I want as my signal caller in this class.
Yeah. I wonder, does it need to be a 1-year guy now that you've got Deuce Knight in the mix? Does it need to be a guy like that? I don't know.
Well, here's the great thing is that Deuce Knight signs before you go get your portal quarterback. So,
I'm not, I get it. Like a lot of people think like that. And that's why I even posed the question, but I go so hard against the grain on that. I'm with you. Like, this is a business, man. I'm sorry. Get the best guy. It don't matter if it affects anybody else.
No.
And then make your moves off of that. If Deuce Knight wanted to leave because of that, well, that's how it's going to go. It's just like you can't lose sleep over that kind of stuff.
No, because you're at the end of the day, it's a scoreboard business, right? And you're paid to win games. If you don't win enough games on the scoreboard, you're not going to be at Auburn very long. So I'm not necessarily worried about it. Yes, from a perception standpoint, do you want Deuce Knight to stay in the program and continue to grow and develop it? Absolutely you do. Yeah. But is it a necessity? No. So you go and get the best guy you can at the end of the day, and then you just let the chips fall where they may.
And listen, I'm not saying my way is right. It's just my opinion. There's a reason why I ain't coaching in there. I'm glad I'm not.
God. No, I hear you. That's a pressure cooker.
No doubt.
No need for an introduction here. 5960, you're live.
There he is.
What's going on, fellas?
We were just talking about you pre-show, big guy. How's it going?
Yeah, I hope it was something good.
It was. We were debating. I was like, you know what? I'm in the mood for an Edwards sermon, but I said we had a win, so his sermons are usually a little different. I get the pep talk after the loss.
Listen, bring us an angle. I know you got one that I ain't thought about yet. Always do. I want to hear it.
I've been enjoying this high school football playoff, and Cole, if you come that way Friday night, man, I look forward to seeing you because I'm on day shift with you, so I'll be there with Bells on Friday night. But there's some good high school football playoff, man. You got Elba, Georgiana.
Yes, sir.
Ought to be a good one. You got Maplesville and Miller. Ought to be a good one. I'm hoping Elba can survive Georgiana and Maplesville can survive Miller. That'll put Alvin and my cousin Nehemiah going head to head on Nehemiah. He's a ninth grader, boy, but I'm telling you, boy, he the future Alabama 1A football.
Okay.
Everybody that's seen him know it, boy. He tough, a ninth grader. Probably 6'2", 205 right now. That's a freight train with the ball in his hand. But you got Miller, T.R. Miller and Thomasville going head to head. Boy, that ought to be a good one too. And if Southside can survive Bayside at T.R. Miller and Thomasville, either one of those two tough teams. Old Brent Hubbard from Maplesville, man, he built a powerhouse down in T.R. Miller. And ain't no way I bet against him because I lost thousands of dollars over the years. Back to Auburn, man. Here you got to do what you're comfortable doing, even though you're uncomfortable doing. Even though you're uncomfortable doing what you're comfortable doing, you still got to do what you're comfortable doing. Yesterday, that was his offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was his offense. I want to see more tempo. But I don't think you in the situation what you was in last year as far as the defensive depth to where you was afraid of putting your defense in bad positions. I believe you got the last 2 games, man, the hell with it.
Good call.
Press it to the floor. I max it out, man. I go out. I go out. If I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out with a bang, man. That's my mindset. You got Chase Van M coming to Jordan House at a night game. They're gonna be rocking. I like my chances in this game. I ain't gave up, man. I ain't gonna give up hope. It's too much Auburn Tiger blood in me to say I ain't gave up. I like my the way my defense playing. I like my defense against everybody left on my schedule. I like my defense against Alabama. And I'm going to tell you why. Number 16 is a different maker. Number
You're not lying.
16 is a different maker on my defense for a Miro that like to run the football. I got a true legit spot that just as fast as Miro, I'm not fast, on my defense. I like my matchup. I like my matchup with everybody. It's what I can get out of my offense. As far as a Porter quarterback, I don't think it's necessary. Yeah, why? Just because you get somebody out of the Porter don't mean they'll hit.
True.
We done seen that all year long with guys that came from different places in the Porter and they bust. Man, develop what you got in your room. Develop what you say. You're a QB developer. That's what you say. You're a QB developer. Develop what you got. I think Walker got some tools, man. You give him a whole spring, a whole summer. The mistake Hugh Freeze made this season was naming Peyton Thorne his starting quarterback after spring ball. He should have let them fought that out to the end. You should have let them fought that out all summer. You should have let them fought that out halfway through fall practice before you named Peyton your starter. That was my problem. Because to me, Peyton is a guy that I can't never say he truly earned the starting position no way, because last year you said you gave it to him because he was pressing. I'm not big on Porter quarterback unless it's a sure thing. But how do we know that? You know, you can go get a guy, but if you miss on him, does that hurt for are you tied to the hip with him like he was paying because you spent $1 million on him, but he might not be that guy? Or do you develop what you already got? That's my thing. I develop what's on my roster, man. I can use that money. Instead of spending $1 million on a quarterback, shit, I go get the 2 best tackles in the portal.
That's fair.
That's what I would do. I wouldn't really be concerned about spending $1 million on a quarterback, because I don't think it's necessary. Because it's the quarterback you got gonna get. Is he got much upside as what you already got on the roster? It ain't that many can't-miss guys out there. I take my time and develop what I got. You know, it's Porter. Look at Florida State with the guy they got. You look at a couple schools. You know, he can go get a guy from Liberty, but is he ready for SEC football? We don't know that. So I don't know, man. But definitely, we still had a call-in show on Sunday night. So, but I know you still got to work now. You still got to work, old buddy. I know you damn fine bucks and all that, man. But I've been talking long enough, man. I think we're gonna be all right, though. Like I say, I'm not on the fire huge train, but I still say it's something that got to change offensively.
Yeah.
You know, there's some changes got to be made in either the way. If he gonna run it, and if I'm Hugh, I understand. Hell, if he gonna go out, I'm gonna go out doing it my way, and I ain't got no problem with that. But you still got to change something within the structure of your offense. If you know how to tempo, hell, don't know how to tempo. Do what you do. Do what you do.
I agree
That's
with
really
you.
all I got, man. Y'all gotta have a good night. Jeffrey should be at work next Sunday night.
Woo! I'll make sure I pass the word to him, Edward.
Appreciate you, Edward.
All right, man.
Buddy.
So before we get to another caller, we have a guest tonight.
Yeah, we do.
Here you go.
So,
how's it going?
I noticed Jeff's not here, and I haven't heard. I don't know what's going on. I'm assuming he got fired. I know that's something I've been advocating for a long time.
It has gone through, Keith.
It's about damn time. Yeah, nobody wants to talk about the Gators. Okay, I don't know why y'all want to be on. I assume it's to talk about recruiting. So
honestly, Keith. Honestly, I mean, you know where Auburn's at right now because you covered Florida. You covered Auburn in a place like this. You covered Florida in a place like this. Yeah. Florida looks to be digging their way out of it right now. They got a huge win against LSU.
Yeah.
But they had several Auburn people, Auburn commits, Auburn targets on campus. Was going to get you to give us the rundown on those guys.
Yeah. All right. Well, which guy you want to talk about first? We got Joseph Mbachu. We got.
Let's talk about Joseph Mbachu, who was committed to Florida, right?
Yeah, was committed to Florida, decommitted, I guess, about 3 weeks ago. looking at Auburn, looking at Texas. You know, he was going to officially visit Georgia this past weekend, and lo and behold, that fell through. I guess Georgia's maybe gone in another direction. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but Florida got him back on campus. Credit to them. It was a huge weekend for Florida. They had 5 stars on campus, and kind of like an Iron Bowl type. I don't want to say setting, although it was loud. Don't get me wrong, but it was more of a Iron Bowl type visitors list, is what I meant to say. It was good.
It was.
And Florida needed that. I mean, God, at the Kentucky game, I got some text messages from some powerful people who were like, "That's it. That's the visitors list." You know, so it was big. So Joseph Mbachi, Florida, trying to fight its way back in. Afterwards today, we interviewed him after his official visit, and he said a lot of positive things. Hey, they look a lot better. I didn't think they were going to be that good. The atmosphere was great. I like the D-line. Says he's really going to give them a hard look these last few weeks. He's not anywhere near a decision. At the same time, talked to a source that said Florida feels like it's them in Texas right now. Now, look, if you're an Auburn fan, don't panic. I mean, the second part of that was somebody else told me, hey, he's got a new top group every week. Texas, though, is the one constant. So I don't know what I talked to our Texas guys last week, and they said, look, we think he's pretty open, quite frankly. So I don't really know. Again, when a guy decommits, you kind of lose track of him for a week or two. So you're trying to get your arms around that recruitment, like same thing with Neem offered. But it sounds like Florida's in it, and maybe they have a chance. I mean, there's always that visit high, so you got to kind of flush it out a little bit afterwards. But they think they're in it, and he basically said they're in it. So that's all I have to go on right now, which is interesting. We'll see. I know Auburn's felt like they were in a pretty good spot, so maybe they still are.
Yeah. Keith, I have a pick in for Auburn to land Joseph Mbachi right now. So we'll have to monitor that for sure. I mean, it was kind of interesting him going back to Florida. He was originally committed there. There was a reason why he committed there. So,
well, he said a lot of the same good feelings came back, and now they've got a team. Well, look, they're still only 5-5, but I think we can all agree, everybody listening, even though people that hate Florida, which that's fine. I think we can all agree that they appear to be making some progress, right?
Yeah, definitely.
They still got a ways to go. They need guys like this. You know, he's maybe not a guy that is going to contribute in year one, but I think year 2, year 3. I mean, he's got a lot of potential. He's pretty. I mean, he looks great in uniform, and, you know, all that stuff. But so look, Florida's they're gonna take a hard swing. They feel like, hey, they were on this guy early. They invested a lot of time into him before other people did, and they're gonna finish. They're gonna follow this one all the way through to the end and hope for the best.
Okay. All right. Talk to us about 5-star corner Naeem Offord, currently committed to Ohio State.
Birmingham Parker. Cole, I think you and I were at that school last year.
Yeah, we went and saw him. We went and talked to him.
Yeah, he was just a young kid. And, you know, this is a weird one because I keep hearing Auburn buzz there. Everybody on my board's like Auburn. Watch out for Auburn. And after his visit today, he said, hey, Ohio State, Florida, Oregon. Well, wait a second. And it's not our job to then say, oh, tell me about Auburn. Because that's an open-ended question. Sure. Sometimes a kid feels pressure and says, oh, yeah. I'll give you an example. Sometimes you'll say, you have to catch yourself. Hey, Georgia Tech's got doing a really good job with their offensive tackles, putting those guys in the NFL, or actually they've got an opening on their roster for a guy to come in and start right away. Is that something that's big in your recruitment? That's kind of an open-ended question. Yeah, you got to say, hey, tell me about the depth chart situation at Georgia Tech. What do you think? How does that work in your favor or against your favor? So you try not to ask open-ended questions, but he did not mention Auburn. Now, I checked with people after the interview, and I put it already on our board. Yeah, you know, Auburn still feels like it's very much in that one, you know, which is interesting. But then I had somebody from Florida say, or from the Florida side of things, say, a source that understands recruiting at Florida say, did he mention Alabama at all? Now, I mean, so like, again, this is a guy that we didn't even know he was going to visit Florida till like the early last week. So I'm trying to figure things out. So what I can tell you is I'm getting ready to go write an insider now. They feel like they made some progress. They feel like maybe they're in the conversation. They never stopped recruiting him. They've got some assistants that really are on him hard at Florida. One guy is grew up in Tuskegee, and he understands the lay of the land in Alabama, and they've really connected. So
interesting.
You know, there's always these extra layers now, though. It used to be the bag. Now it's NIL, right? And so I don't know yet is Florida what their NIL situation is on Naeem Offord. Some teams have to pay more for certain guys. Texas may have a bigger need for Mbachi than Auburn and Florida, let's say. So they may have to pay. I don't know what's going on with this one here. He says it's going to come down to signing day. So, we'll see.
Yep.
There's always smoke screens. I mean, Cole and I have had kids go to Auburn. You interview them, like, man, Auburn's got a really good shot. And then a day later, they're committing somewhere else. Oh, Jesus, man. So I wish I could give you more information on these guys, but the last couple weeks up into signing day are crazy. There is sleight of hand. There's games being played. There's, all kinds of stuff going on. Tramel Jones, a quarterback, visited Florida over the weekend, and he said, I need a few days to digest this. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. He committed 3 hours later. I mean, so we're trying to get our arms wrapped around this. I know everybody's like, God, this guy's full of crap. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, there's some elements of that, but it's also because it's that time of year where you're sort of, man, there's so many variables, some known, some unknown.
And you're on so much more of an expedited timetable this year than in years past, being December the 4th. I mean, it is literally you're 2 games away, and then it's just on a random Wednesday before the SEC championship game. So,
there was one more Auburn guy that visited. Want me to mention him?
Auburn. Yeah, Auburn.
Yes.
Now this one is one that Florida feels like they really have a chance. This is what they feel. I think maybe he was there with his family this weekend, and apparently it went well. He told them, "I'm still committed to Auburn, but I'm really looking hard at you guys." So, I'm getting a text right now. Let me make sure this isn't somebody committing or decommitting, or let me just double check real quick.
Yeah, in case y'all don't know, Florida is on a hot streak right now. Keith put out the momentum tweet. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's Mo from the Three Stooges.
So clever.
It's awesome. It fires you up, though.
But Tovarus Dice, again, Florida's got no offensive lineman committed. I think they're in pretty good shape with another kid out there that my readers will learn about. But they're fighting hard for Dice. They've liked him the whole way. Look, it's been a Florida-Auburn battle for a while. At times, it's Cole Nose and Allen Head. I keep wanting to call you J Head. At times, Florida felt good. At times, they didn't feel good. At times, Auburn felt great. At times, they thought, well, we got to watch out for Florida. But Florida's making a big push here at the end with Dice. He did stay the night. And you know what they're selling at Florida? And it's going to happen again at Auburn someday soon, too. They finally got a quarterback that they can sell.
DJ Lagway, that's a huge piece.
I even have defensive guys. So Naheem offered. I said, okay, I know you're a defensive guy, but does his presence matter at all? And he's like, yeah, it matters. Now, again, I keep trying to tell Florida fans. I mean, they're like that comes across like I know more than they do. That's not what I'm trying to say, but they're still 5-5. They still got, like I said many times here, the program's still a work in progress. But DJ Lag was a guy you could sell. So to Mbachu, to Neem Offord, to Tramel Jones, who committed as a quarterback, who's now going to get to work behind Lagway for a couple of years. For Jamie French, the 5-star Texas receiver commit.
Yes.
All of a sudden, it's like, well, gee, I don't know, man. I mean, Arch Manning, the future, they say is bright, but he ain't played much. This guy's starting and now winning SEC games. So, but again, is it going to come down to money for every single one of these guys? And if so, that allows Florida to get a guy, Auburn to get a guy. You're never going to get everybody. You're never going to get it because there's always going to be another. Got a higher value on
money or not, you have to hold out for that possibly being the case.
Yeah. But look, again, I'm not ready to make a pick on any of these guys. I think maybe 60-40 Dice, Auburn. Florida, I think they don't think it's 60-40. Now, again, doesn't mean they're right. They're getting good vibes. He's a nice kid. Oh, by the way, he did not want to do interviews. He did not want to do an interview after he left today.
No, Dice.
Yes, don't necessarily know. Sometimes you can read into that. Sometimes it's because a guy's committed already and doesn't want it out there. Sometimes it's because the guy's just feeling a lot of pressure. I think that's probably Dice. He's got a lot to think about. And Bachi did an interview, and his head's spinning. He's still new to recruiting. So I really wish I could tell the Auburn fans and the Florida fans, this guy's going here, this guy's going there. But it's going to be flushed out over the next couple of weeks. That's what you get this time of year. You get a lot of uncertainty. That's why guys waited so long. Quite frankly,
I'm the same way, Keith. I checked a lot about Tovarus Dice this weekend, and he is going to be back at Auburn for the Texas A&M game. But it is, like you said, it's going to be close. I even dropped my confidence on the level of commitment this week, so I think it's going to come down to the wire, man. It's going to be a good one.
Well, look, I mean, Florida just had its big recruiting weekend. They got another big one. They got Ole Miss coming to town. That's a noon game. It'll be a crazy atmosphere, but it won't be like 3:30 going into the darkness, right?
Correct.
It hits a little different when they're singing "Won't Back Down." when it's dark outside and everybody's got the lighters or whatever the phones lighters. Geez, like it's 1987 here. You know what I mean? Whatever. Candlelight, you know.
I mean,
And
Tom Petty.
the Van Halen concert. Yeah, I got
it
you.
would make sense. It's Tom Petty.
But now, so what time's that Auburn game? 3:30?
It's a
No,
6:30.
It's a 6:30.
Oh, so now Auburn's got that going for it. So it's interesting. We're seeing these Auburn, Florida, Texas battles all of a sudden. Three-way. We've never seen that before. There's three, you know. So
Keith, were you still with us at Auburn Live when Cadillac took over as head coach?
Yes.
And then Auburn played Texas A&M. Both teams were, I don't know, was Auburn 3-6 at the time, or
that was an exciting, low-scoring game.
4-6 at the moment. Yeah, they were 4-6 at the moment. No, they were 3-6. You're right. It was 3-6 because then they won the next week at Western Kentucky.
And I think A&M was 3-6 or only won 4 games, something like that. So it was didn't even matter. But that's like the atmosphere that people point back to and go, now that's the Auburn atmosphere we're looking for.
Well, and also, so like again, Florida's 5-5, but like in Bachu. Well, who was the star of the game yesterday? Well, you would say there were 3 stars, 2 guys on offense, DJ Lagway, and then another receiver. But it was the defensive line. Defensive line won Florida that game. I think most people would.
Yeah.
That was really where it all started. So Joseph Mbachu made, so you're at 5-5, but that defensive line, look at the upward, so that's going to be the selling point for Florida. The Florida offensive line's got better. I mean, so if you're Auburn, you're going to say, okay, what can we sell now? All right. What can we sell now? Playing time on the O-line, right?
Yep.
At Auburn, a defense that's keeping Auburn in every single game, right? So that there are certain things you can sell even when you're not maybe having the year you wanted to have,
For sure. There's always something to sell.
And how about Auburn only being a 1-point underdog in that game?
Is it down to 1? I know it was 2.5.
I could have sworn it was 1.
Started at 2.5. It may have moved since.
Well, it's low. Well, to give you an example, comparison, Florida's 10.5 at last check, 10.5-point underdog against Ole Miss. Wow. So, but that'll be a good one. So, anyway, that's it.
I think they'll be favored against Florida State this year.
Oh,
I would really hope so. Okay.
They've already fired both their coordinators. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. What if you lose? I don't want to put this in the board, but what if you're Florida and you're building this momentum? And even if you lose to Ole Miss, people can say, look, they're showing signs, right? Ole Miss is a good team. If you go to Tallahassee and lose that game, you will lose every bit of goodwill you just gained yesterday. Okay.
I would be. Look, I know they've already told Billy he's coming back, but he loses that one in Tallahassee.
But here's something on the table. Again, people, I got to go because people do not want to hear me talking about Florida. But what if they beat Ole Miss? Then all of a sudden, 8-5's on the table. Yeah, I can sell 8-5 if I'm Billy Napier.
Hell yeah, you can.
Absolutely.
Given that schedule, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, I got to run. Good luck this week. I know it's a big game. I appreciate everybody for giving me all the clicks to get to Gators Online. Make sure you check out Gators Online. We got a great subscription deal right now. But I love Auburn fans. Everybody knows it. But I love Florida fans, and they've been unbelievable. And I'm telling you guys, the Swamp was alive yesterday. And guess what Jordan Hare is going to be like this coming Saturday?
It's going to be alive. It's going to be live.
I think you're right.
Right, have fun. Be safe, everybody, going to the Auburn game this weekend. Y'all take care. God bless every one of you. So,
hey, you too, Keith. We
appreciate it, Keith. Thank you. Thank you, as always. Good updates there from the Florida man, Keith Niebuhr.
Yeah, he just didn't have his jorts on today. That was what I was hoping he was going to do. The full, like Jeffrey used to do the bird dog when he would get up in his chair, show the leg off.
We're at that point where in the state of Florida, you start the morning at 45 degrees, then it gets to 90 degrees again.
Yes.
So jorts are not the greatest. You don't want to change all day. So. All right, Zach, let's get back to our call line there.
5013. You're live. Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, fellas, Don here.
Mr. Don. I see you called in again when Jeffrey's not here.
Yeah, I didn't know until I turned it on. But how's everybody doing tonight, guys?
Can't complain.
We're doing good, Don. How about you?
Guys, I know we weren't playing anybody yesterday, but it was great to see Peyton Thorne throw the ball that well, and I believe Cam announced himself to everybody yesterday. But that was got to be one of the best catches I've ever seen since I've been watching Auburn. Unbelievable catch.
It was a good one.
But hey, by the way, Cole, do you happen to know Albin's stats from the game last Friday night?
I do not.
I think I actually have them. Hold on.
Okay. The Elba is going to jump in here.
Okay. Because they scored 42 points. I figured he had a big game.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in a 49-14 win over Linden, Alvin rushed for 231 yards, 4 touchdowns on 17 carries. That puts him at 3,097 for the year and 55 touchdowns on the season.
So he went over 3,000 officially last night.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable. And with the games being in Birmingham, Cole, I sure am hoping that Elba makes it to that final game. And are you going to be up in Birmingham for any of those games, my friend?
I might be. I know I want to go see Parker if they stay alive. I'm looking at going to see Saraland. I've talked to Antonio Coleman. He wants, some video out there. So
I bet.
We'll see if I can go see him. I think I'm going to see Derek Smith and Eric Smith this week. They play Bayside. We'll see if that's a close one, so I might go to that one.
Right. Do you on that bracket for 6A? Would it be? Is it possible would Parker and Saraland meet in the semifinals? Are they kind of looking at a head-on collision in the finals?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Let me pull that up while we're talking here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the bracket situation on that is.
Yeah, because like Alan, y'all just mentioned and everything. It is kind of weird that the on signing day is the same day as the 7A game here in Birmingham. That's kind of weird. Never seen that happen before.
Well, I would tell you that the NCAA has just completely and utterly destroyed the recruiting calendar as of late. And I know that they're trying to make some fixes there, but realistically, they've just made it even more congested than ever. And you have state championship games going on during that time period. You also have teams that are contemplating coordinator and head coaching changes and what kind of 8-ball does that put them behind. I mean, it's just – I have a whole spiel, Don, that I'm going to spare you on about how I would change things if I were the NCAA for one day with fixing the calendar. But it is not a favorable situation for a lot of people right now, unfortunately.
So,
one quick question, guys, before I go. And I know last summer we were planning to do the your celebration party for the subscribers. I have an idea for the whole crew.
Okay.
Jeffrey Lee will tell you I'm good friends with the Jocks radio team and with Landon Roberts and Pat Smith and Damian and Conrad and the whole crew, and we're having a radio station Christmas party, everything, and we want to invite the On3 people to it. It's going to be in Birmingham at their remote on a Tuesday, December 17th. I wanted to give all y'all plenty of notice because we definitely want to invite y'all to come to Birmingham for that.
Okay. Appreciate it, Don. I'll definitely look into that.
But I mean, maybe during the off season we could still do that live show that y'all wanted to do for the 10,000 subscribers. I definitely still want to help out on that, guys.
Okay.
We appreciate it. We need to do that. We definitely do.
Right,
We've been trying to do a remote show.
You guys, War Eagle, and hopefully signing day is going to be a big success for us. I hope.
Appreciate you, Don. I think it'll be a good day. I do. And to answer to his question, I know he's gone now, but Parker and I assume Saraland won. They haven't moved it over in the bracket yet. But they would meet in the championship, it looks like.
Okay.
They play.
That'd be a heck of a state championship game if that's what happens.
Yeah, that's appointment TV right there.
No doubt.
5799. You're live. Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from? Five 799. You're live.
Hey, this is Ricky from Birmingham.
Ricky.
How you doing, Ricky?
Hey, I'm so glad y'all just picked up my answer. But I'm a Parker alumni, and we do play most of the shows on Friday. I don't know what time though, but it usually like 7 o'clock. But yeah, we play most of the shows Friday.
Yep.
I think. Let me pull it back up. Yeah, it's Oxford and Fort Payne. So we play either. If we win on Friday, we play either Oxford or Fort Payne. On the other bracket, it's Pike Road and Harrytown, Saraland,
Yep.
and St. Park.
Yep. That's
Just to
it.
give y'all an update.
Appreciate it. I didn't
I have
realize
4
Pike Road had
questions
made it. Good for them.
and a bonus question.
All right, go for it.
What's the plan for moving forward with Cam Coleman in the near future after yesterday's performance? Where in the world is Bryce Kane?
Okay.
Y'all players should receive 22 carries a game with a good scheme. Do y'all agree or disagree? And my last question is, at what point do the coaching staff need to start re-recruiting the roster? And my bonus question is, I hope Deuce Knight returns for the Texas A&M game and for a rivalry week. Where do y'all think he might go? Either the Iron Bowl or the Egg Bowl?
Okay. Good questions, Ricky. I wrote them all down here so we can knock them out for
Okay.
you. Appreciate it. So let's start at the top with Ricky's questions here. We got a few of them. What's the plan with Cam Coleman after what we saw Saturday? What do y'all think?
To continue to grow and develop him and feature him in a way that keeps him engaged, satisfied, and it's also productive to the team, right? I mean, you can't – if you're rolling coverage over the top to him and keeping him bracketed, that means somebody else is open. So you got to make sure that you're not necessarily cutting your nose off to spite your face, but that doesn't mean that you can't try to make some design calls to scheme him open either. So I think you're going to try to push it to him a little bit, but at the same time, stay within the flow of the offense and just continue to grow and develop him as best you can. I mean, the most important thing that you can do is make sure that he feels as though he's going to be featured in the offense moving forward and that you're going to have a quarterback that can get him the ball. I mean, I think that is something that Auburn's going to need to be able to prove to him. And that's why I know what Edward's saying, but you have guys on this roster right now that aren't necessarily probably thinking, okay, I'm ready to grow with Walker White or any other quarterback. They want to know somebody can get them the ball right now and somebody that's been successful. So I think that's part of the push to get a transfer is to keep some of these young playmakers that are on the verge of taking that next step content with the fact that Auburn's going to be able to get them the ball in a way that's going to make them overly successful or successful at some point. Yeah.
It was huge for the offense too, man. Getting him involved like that.
Yes.
You got to have that threat. It's got to be there. Not to mention, KLS already what he is. I mean, he's a threat. You have to keep an eye on him. You really like I said, well, it hadn't come out yet, but on the other show that we did, when your safeties are inside the hash, there's always a chance to take a shot at those guys. You almost have to keep them outside the hash, 2 safeties, all that, whatever. So you made that a little tougher on defenses Saturday by doing that. So that's good. I found it interesting that the Auburn official football account retweeted his signing day post, Cam Coleman's signing day post.
I saw that.
Just out of nowhere, in case y'all were wondering if they understood. Everybody's worried that he might transfer. I think they were trying to send a message there. So that was interesting. Ricky's next question was, where's Bryce Kane? I saw him on Saturday. I think he was in the game at the end. So I guess he's just, he's just behind. He's still developing, and I guess that's the answer.
I think they don't play a ton of slot receivers in this offense, so that's the first thing, right?
Yeah.
And so right now he's behind 2 guys because Malcolm Simmons has really come in and kind of probably taken steps that Bryce thought that he was going to get. And that doesn't mean that Bryce isn't talented. I think Malcolm has probably just – his growth is accelerated in a way that not many people could have anticipated when Auburn signed him. I mean, he really has just – taking a massive step forward in being a receiver. And then you can just see the natural skills that he has, the explosion that he has. And then you got a veteran guy that you brought in from Georgia State that just does and says all the right things, and he's a leader in that locker room. But that doesn't mean that Bryce isn't going to be effectively in the 2 deep this time next year. So I think people don't need to be frustrated with the fact that they haven't seen him just yet. Sometimes it takes guys a while. And again, I think truly they only play really 2 legitimate slot receivers, and that's pretty much it in this offense. They don't go much beyond that.
True. Good point. 22 carries for Hunter. That's what Ricky thinks it needs to be per game.
That's a little much in my opinion because I think you steer too much out of the natural flow of the offense. But I think probably somewhere in that 18 vicinity, that would be about right for him.
The streak that Auburn had going is still alive. Now at 7-0. Auburn is now 7-0 when they have a 100-yard rusher in the Hugh Freeze era.
Okay.
7-0. All right. He asked about re-recruiting the roster. I don't remember exactly the context of the question, so we'll just move to the next one. Deuce Knight, where does he go on rivalry week?
My suspicion is he'll be at the Egg Bowl.
That's a great question from Ricky, by the way. I hadn't put much thought into that because, Auburn is playing in Tuscaloosa. So
here's the difference, right? The Egg Bowl is played on Friday. The Iron Bowl is played on Saturday. He could technically attend both games, right? It's not an and/or situation. And the Egg Bowl used to be played on Thanksgiving night, but that is no longer the case. It's being played on the Friday following Thanksgiving. Theoretically, he could be at both. Is it played in Starkville this year, Zach, or is it going to be played in Oxford?
1 second.
I think it's Oxford. I think last year was in Starkville.
It's right. It is usually on Thanksgiving, isn't it? That's usually my Thanksgiving watch.
Yeah. I think they've moved Texas A&M back to Thanksgiving night.
It's in Oxford.
Okay. My suspicion is Deuce will be in Oxford on Friday. I have no idea if he'll be in Tuscaloosa on the following Saturday.
I would assume he's not going to be there.
No. I mean, it's relatively strange for quarterbacks to visit, a place that they're not committed and we're heavily considering. Alabama's not necessarily in consideration. Yeah, he could come and cheer Auburn on, but he would have to get an invite from the Alabama, side of things. And I don't think they're willing to extend us a courtesy by any means. So,
and I don't know if Russell would love them bringing in Deuce.
No, I don't know what kind of messages to help Auburn of all things, right?
They probably say, "Hey," he said, "Hey, I just want to come watch." Okay, you got a ticket?
Yep, pretty much, right?
Up in the top section, that upper corner.
Yeah,
no doubt.
We'll get you some tickets. We'll get you some tickets. How about that?
Yeah, but that, as far as that weekend goes, my suspicion is he'll be in Oxford, and then Auburn will probably try to counter to get him come back through Auburn on that Sunday before it turns into a dead period.
That sounds right. I would fully expect him to be there if it's in Oxford, and that's how this one's going to go, guys. So gear up. I'm telling you, it's time. It snuck up on me signing day this year because I wasn't paying attention to it being on the 4th and not on the 20th. I just had in my mind, look, we got a month. We'll get into it. And I looked up. I was like, oh man, 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and you saw all the action that Hayes Fawcett had going on today. And he dropped the tweet. Hey, this ain't nothing.
And Juju Lewis is now finally decommitted, but this is something we've been talking about since the summer, right? Like we all knew this was going to happen. And Husan Longstreet, just as quickly as Juju decommits, flips to SC, something we also knew behind the scenes was going to happen. And now Texas A&M is without a quarterback, so watch for them to apply the pressure to somebody because I doubt that Mike Elko is content without signing a quarterback in this class.
Does Ole Miss have a quarterback commit?
No. No.
Very interesting. I don't know. This whole quarterback thing used to be get in early and get them in your class, let them be the leader. You can forget that.
Yeah. No, Lane Kiffin.
You better strike late, son.
Yep. Lane Kiffin has set his attack on Deuce Knight back when he was still committed to Notre Dame, and they're still on Deuce Knight. So
that's right.
I think he's decided either I'm going to get Deuce Knight or I'm going to go into the transfer portal and pluck a young one.
That's a fair strategy.
3688. You're live. Who we talking to? Where you calling from?
Hey fellas, how y'all doing tonight? This is Jonathan from Troy again.
What's up, Jonathan from Troy?
What's up, buddy?
Pretty good. How are y'all?
Good.
Just sitting up here at work, watching y'all's stream.
We appreciate it.
What you got on your mind tonight, Jonathan?
I just want to say, War Down Eagle for the win for this past weekend.
All right.
And also for Jarquez Hunter making 1,000 yards. He deserves it.
That's a big one for sure.
Agreed, wholeheartedly.
So, couple recruiting questions that I wanted to ask.
All right.
I know you had the guy from the Gators on there earlier, and he was talking about Tovarus Dice. Like, how serious should we be on flip watch for him? Because I think he's pretty. I'd like to definitely hang on to him because I think him and Brody Shoal could tie up the edges of our line for a few years if we can hold on to him. What you guys think?
Yeah, Jonathan, he's a priority, man. They know they got to hold on to him. They're going to fight for him. He is going to be back, so that's a big deal. He's going to be back for the A&M game. I think he's going to stay overnight too. So big deal. Getting him back. You know, his family loves Auburn. That's been a big thing for him. I think early playing time is also one of his major things. And he sees it at Auburn. He really does. He's told me that several times. He sees that he can get in there early at Auburn and play and, you know, got some position versatility to him where he could play tackle or guard. And I think he loves that. But Florida's got the same kind of thing to sell over there, and his family loves Florida. So it's real tight for that reason. You know, I would listen to Keith on this. I heard you refer to Keith as that guy. Well, he is Keith, and he knows his stuff. You trust me on that.
Yes, he does.
So, yeah, you need to listen to Keith. From our point of view, though, I would say right now I still give Auburn the edge, and I did on the level of commitment article. But I knocked it down a little bit. I knocked confidence down because I think Florida is making a move. Billy Napier is very involved in that recruitment. It's going to be tight. I'll just put it that way. I give Auburn the edge to finish it, to close it out, though.
And I do think that proximity to Atlanta helps Auburn significantly here. The ease for his family to get to from to consistently watch him play. Whereas you're talking about Gainesville, that's potentially an 8-hour run for them. So it's not as easy a drive as it is the 2-hour drive from Atlanta.
3 to 4 times the trip.
Yeah.
True.
Okay. What you guys think? I know it's getting late, and I heard him saying that Naeem Alford was probably going to be a signing day decision. Is it like, I know the closer it gets to signing day, the slimmer our chances are going to be. What do y'all think? We still stand a decent chance to flip him?
I wouldn't say that, Jonathan. I'll tell you, when we started hearing buzz about Naeem Alford and Auburn, which was probably June-ish, June, July.
Yep.
The word has always been this is a signing day kind of thing.
Yes.
This is not hey, we're about to flip him next week. Hey, we're going to get him to Big Cat. It's going to happen that day. No, this is a long game with Naeem Alford. We know it's not going to happen anytime soon. That's fine. He kind of holds the cards in that regard, being what he is, 5-star corner.
Yeah.
So they played the long game here. Auburn's in this, man. They really are. You heard Keith say that too, even though he didn't mention Auburn, which is interesting. But still, you know, it's still Auburn in it pretty. I would give them a slight edge. I'd say that.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure that Deuce was probably a silent commit. He was just holding off making it public. Is there any chance that Naeem may be a silent commit? Just
Naeem Alford?
Wait until signing day. Yeah.
I don't put stock into silent. Yeah.
I'd say no. I mean, listen. Sure, you could say that, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it only matters. He's committed to Ohio State, and we should not be counting the Buckeyes out here at all.
No, absolutely not. Tim Walton's done a fantastic job recruiting him, cultivated a really great relationship with Naheem's dad. And there's a lot of trust there that they're going to be able to, I mean, for all intents and purposes, Ohio State has had a successful run on defensive backs as anybody, and put a number of them into the NFL. So
Yep.
Auburn's got its work cut out for them. Wes McGriff has done a great job there as far as kind of bridging that gap, because Zach Etheridge and Carnell Williams were his lead recruiters up until this past year.
That's right.
And that has since transitioned to Wes, who's done a great job. Hugh Freeze has also been involved, DJ Durkin, Charles Kelly. That whole group has really kind of worked him, worked his family, gotten this to a point where Auburn feels as though they're sitting in a really great situation. And again, I'm with Cole that I do find it interesting that he left Auburn out of his comments, but I also know that kids at times will get excited and they'll just say things. And when I mean say things, it means, he just wasn't thinking about Auburn in the moment. Those were those other schools. He was at Florida. He's committed to Ohio State. Oregon's a team that's put a lot of emphasis on him. And I don't take that Auburn's not in the mix at all. I think he just forgot to put Auburn out there. And I don't think he was purposely being deceitful either. I mean, I don't think he purposely left Auburn out.
And, people look at Ohio State and see that as a huge, hump to get over when it comes to corners and secondary. Auburn's put a ton of secondary in the NFL.
Yes, they have.
They also have Charles Kelly.
Yeah. Yeah. Crime Dog makes a difference. But
Sure.
I guess nothing is really certain until pen touches paper.
That's right.
That's right. That's why I don't put any stock into silent, my man.
Yeah.
So whether he is or he isn't, he's
Right,
silent unless he's public
You guys
committed.
have a good night. I'm gonna let y'all have it and listen to the rest of y'all's show.
All right,
Sounds good,
John.
buddy.
We appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it. Have a good night.
You too.
Last caller of the night, 1481. You're live. Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from?
This is Wanda from Alabama.
All right, Wanda. You're closing us down tonight.
Yeah. How you doing, Miss Wanda?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Good deal. We heard from Kevin earlier. Kevin was fired up about Cam Coleman having the hat trick, 3 touchdowns. How are you feeling?
I like the game. I thought they done a real good job.
It was definitely better than about 6 other ones, right?
Yes. And hopefully they'll get a win this coming Saturday.
One can hope, Wanda. It would make mine Cole's job a heck of a lot easier. I promise you that. So
Sure would.
selfishly, I'm cheering for it.
You and Kevin going to
Yeah,
make it to another
me
game,
too.
Wanda?
Well, y'all have a good night and go War Eagle.
All
You too,
right.
Miss Wanda, War Eagle.
We appreciate it.
Okay. Good night.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. We appreciate it, man. Is that everybody, Zach?
That's everybody.
All right. Well, I'm not Jeffrey Lee, and I forgot to write down all the names of the callers. So I just want to say thank you to all the callers. Thank you to Keith. We appreciate
Yes.
Keith. That was a very good synopsis from Keith. We needed to hear that. We needed to hear because really, I mean, you needed to keep your eyes on the Gators this weekend, man. They're
Yeah,
trying to
you
make
did.
some moves on some big Auburn targets and commits. I mean, listen, I would never rule them out for Tovarus Dice. I feel like I've been pretty consistent on that, saying you need to, especially when they, re-upped or whatever you want to call it with Billy Napier. That's
Yeah.
when I went, ooh.
With him and Malik Autry both. And that was the other person I wanted to ask to see if there was going to be any more of a push to get him on campus.
I think Auburn's good with Malik Autry.
Okay.
And I think you'll learn more about that soon.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's another guy. That's another guy I know that Billy Napier in Florida, they really put some emphasis on. JJ Falk was another one.
Yes.
I was at JJ Falk's game right after the announcement of Billy Napier. I asked him about it. He was like, yeah, I mean, I might go for another game, but he said it's over. He's all in. I think the Falk brothers are good with being in Auburn. You know what I mean?
Yep. Agreed with that.
All right, guys. That'll do it for us tonight. We do have a football show coming out in the morning where we went really way more in depth on the stats and the play calling and all that good stuff. Me and Alan We did that earlier today. Be out tomorrow morning. Catch that. You can watch the replay of this anytime. So do that. We're going to have awesome stuff on Auburn Live, man. Sign up with us. Join us. Commit to Auburn Live. Commit and then sign. And
there you go.
And then just be with us for life. You know, maybe you'll get a hat. I don't know. We're working on that. We've had a lot of people that are like, man, the hat.
The NIL signing bonus. That's what the hat's going to be, right?
We need to come up with something for sure. But yeah, we appreciate everybody that called in. Sorry I didn't write your names down. I will do that next time. I know Kevin called in.
Yes,
he always leads us off. Wanda closed us out. That's perfect. What more could you ask for, right? Appreciate everybody for watching tonight. We will catch y'all next time. Next Sunday, Jeffrey will be back, and we will be back as well, hopefully talking about a win against Texas A&M. Right? So, for Alan, for Zach in the back who came to the front and stayed in the front, we will catch you next time. Stay out of that left lane, Jeffrey would say. See you.